Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Now if there is one thing we love to do, it is to take our beloved dog Sava along with us when we go on camping trips. Sava is part of our Camping in Africa family and she is incredibly excited every time she gets to go along on a weekend away. Most of the time she'll even be the first one in the car while we are still busy packing. And with all that in mind, we thought we would share some of the pet-friendly campsites we have visited around Cape Town. For this list, I've included a few campsites that's about 2 or 2.5 hours drive from Cape Town. These will just be small snippets of the video as we list them off. If you want to see the full review of the campsites, be sure to visit our website or our channel, or I will leave the links to all the videos in the description below. So without any further ado, sit back and enjoy. The first area we will visit will be the town of Rawsonville. And the first campsite we'll visit is Velddrif campsite. Velddrif campsite is about 6 kilometers from Rawsonville, and all the campsites are covered in nice green grass with the trees surrounding it, ensuring that you'll have a good covering of shade throughout the day. The mountains as a backdrop is also an amazing sight to behold, and there's also a river that flows next to the camp. Sava really enjoyed her time here. And next we move on to Tierkloof campsite. Tierkloof campsite is situated about 10 kilometers outside of Rawsonville. The campsites are all well laid out and they are well demarcated. The shade wall gives you a bit of privacy as well. The campsites also have a great view of the Brandvlei Dam below, and there's also an events venue that you can rent out, as well as an indoor swimming pool. And on the farm there's also quite a well-known 4x4 route. This truly is a great place for a weekend getaway. Our next campsite we'll visit is Altyd Water campsite. Altyd Water campsite is located about 6 kilometers outside Rawsonville and is situated on the edge of the Small Blaar River. The main camping area consists of a big grass lawn, which works on a first come first served basis for which specific campsite you want. There is also 2 private campsites located a bit further along if you want some more privacy or if you want some more room for your furry friend to run around. The next place we will visit is the town of Worcester. And our first campsite we will visit in the Worcester area is Rivierplaas campsite. Rivierplaas is about 25 kilometers outside the town of Worcester and is situated on the banks of the Brede River. The campsite is a great place to escape the noise of city life and just enjoy a peaceful time next to the river. The surrounding trees also ensures that you have a great shade covering throughout the day. Sava always enjoys spending time at Rivierplaas. Next we move on to Piketberg campsite. Piketberg is a scenic campsite situated about 15 kilometers outside the town of Worcester. The campsite is surrounded by mountains and fynbos and has a beautiful view of the Brede River Valley. All the campsites are located on a nice big grass lawn, and this might also be a good option if you want to book out a whole campsite for your group. The next town we will move on to is the town of the Doorns. And the first campsite we'll visit here is Rua Camp, located on the outskirts of the town. The campsite is scenically nestled into the mountain range and has an incredible view over the Rivier Valley. There are about 6 campsites all covered in lush green grass with a stream running along next to it. The trees and the built awnings ensure you have a good shade covering throughout your stay. This really is a great campsite for a quick weekend breakaway. And now we move over to Middelburg campsite. Middelburg Guest Farm is a secluded campsite about 40 kilometers away from the town of the Doorns. This campsite really has an off-grid feel to it, and the 4x4 route you travel to reach the campsite really adds to that feel. From the campsite you really get a breathtaking view over the valley, and there's more than enough room for your 4-footed friend to roam around. This really is a great campsite if you want to get away from the hustle and bustle of city life. We move further along our journey towards the town of Robertson. And the first campsite we look at in Robertson is Silverstrand Resort. Silverstrand Resort is a caravan park situated about 5 kilometers outside the town of Robertson. The resort has a lot of camping spots and self-catering units nestled right on the banks of the Brede River. And as the campsite is so close to the town of Robertson, you can easily explore all its wine farms, pot stalls and restaurants. This is a very nice campsite for a family breakaway to ensure that the whole family will stay entertained. We move on further to the Rivierzicht River Resort. Rivierzicht is a neat and well-maintained campsite located about 15 kilometers outside of Robertson. The resort truly has a lot of campsites as well as luxury tents and chalet options, all nestled on the banks of the Brede River. All the campsites are covered in green grass and boast some incredible views over the river itself. This campsite is also a great place to come if you want to do some fishing. And next up on the list of our towns is Bonnievale. And the campsite we'll be visiting at Bonnievale is River Goose Campsite. River Goose Campsite is located about 12 kilometers outside the town of Bonnievale and is situated on the banks of the Brede River. This picturesque campsite is covered in lush green grass, and the trees surrounding it offers you a great shade covering throughout the day. The river also provides you of a lot of activities such as fishing, swimming or taking a boat cruise down the river. River Goose is a good campsite for a breakaway with your furry friend. The next stop along our journey is the town of Montagu. And the first campsite we will visit here is Jakkal's Den. Jakkal's Den truly is one of our favorite campsites to go back to time after time. Jakkal's Den is situated about 20 kilometers outside of Montagu, and the off-grid nature of this campsite is something we truly enjoy. The campsites are nice and far apart, and that gives your furry friend a lot of space to roam around on your site. Jakkal's Den is an excellent option if you want to get away from the hustle and bustle of city life. Our next campsite around the town of Montagu is Doornlaagte. Doornlaagte is a well-run and well-maintained resort, about 7 kilometers outside of Montagu. The resort really has a large amount of campsites as well as self-catering accommodation options. Just note that there's only a few specific pet-friendly campsites at Doornlaagte. All the campsites are covered in green grass, and there's enough trees around to provide a good level of shade. There are more than enough activities to keep young and old entertained throughout your stay. Next up we have Simon's Kloof campsite. This scenic campsite is located about 50 kilometers from Montagu. The campsites are off-grid and really puts an emphasis on being eco-friendly. Simon's Kloof also offers various activities such as hiking trails, mountain bike trails and rock climbing, just to name a few. This truly is a great place for you to go recharge along with your furry friend. Our next destination we'll be looking at is the beautiful town of Greyton. And the first campsite we'll visit in this area is Kleine Acre campsite. Kleine Acre campsite is situated about 12 kilometers outside the town of Greyton. The grass-covered campsites are all nestled on the banks of a river that runs past the camp. The campsite is neat and well maintained and is a perfect spot for a weekend breakaway, even if it is just to admire the breathtaking landscape this area has to offer. Next up we move on to Overzicht campsite. Overzicht is located about 10 kilometers outside of Greyton. The campsites are all covered in grass and all situated next to a river. The campsites are all well run and well maintained, and this is a great spot for a weekend breakaway to explore this beautiful area. And of course this is also a great place to spend some more time with your furry friend. Next up we're going to visit Champagne campsite. Champagne campsite is located about 16 kilometers outside the town of Rawsonville. The campsite boasts some incredible views of the river running past. The campsites are well demarcated and covered in lush green grass. Champagne has a few camping options to choose from, and certain sites will provide you with a bit more privacy and a bit more room for your furry friend to run around. Next up we have Twin Rivers campsite. Twin Rivers campsite is located 3 kilometers outside the town of Greyton. This campsite has a real nice relaxing feel to it, and the two rivers that meet up will spoil you with some epic views as well as provide you with some water activities. But of course this is also a great spot for you and your furry friend to come and relax and unwind. The next stop along our journey is the town of Tulbagh and its surrounds. And the first campsite we're going to look at here is Piketberg Farm. Piketberg Farm is about 15 kilometers outside of Tulbagh. The farm has some spectacular views of the mountains surrounding it and has 3 campsites that you can choose from. Small and medium-sized dogs are allowed to camp there with prior arrangement. The campsites are all covered in green grass and there's a few routes that you can walk and hike on the farm. Next up we're heading over to Fynbos Guest Farm. Fynbos Guest Farm is situated 15 kilometers outside the town of Tulbagh. All the campsites on the farm are nestled in between some trees to give you a good level of privacy and a good shade covering throughout the day. The farm also has an animal sanctuary on it, as well as a meditation garden and a padstall. This is a great place for you and your furry friend to come and relax. Next up we have Noah Farm campsites. Noah Farm campsite is also another favorite campsite of ours to spend some time at. The campsite is located about 16 kilometers outside the town of Tulbagh and 6 kilometers outside the town of Wolseley. The campsite consists of a few private campsites that are all nestled along the edge of a mountain range. The campsites are all covered in grass and has its own private ablution area and is in truly spectacular condition. The trees surrounding the campsite also ensures that you have a high level of privacy and that your furry friend can explore without interrupting other campers. Our next stop is Die Acre campsite. Die Acre is located about 10 kilometers outside of Tulbagh and consists of two private campsites. The first campsite is called Boskamp and it truly feels like you are camping in a forest. The camp is covered in lush green grass and has a big braai area and private ablutions. The other camp is called Fynbos, which is a bit higher up against the mountains and truly has some spectacular views of the valleys below. Our next stop is the town of Piketberg. And the first campsite we'll look at here is Sonwyserskop. This well-maintained private campsite is about 40 kilometers outside of Piketberg. Sonwyserskop has about 20 individual stands, but the campsite as a whole gets booked out to one private group. All the campsites are covered in green grass and there's a big braai area in the middle where you can gather around the fire. The dam area also offers you some water activities and the play area and the soccer field will ensure that the kids and your furry friend will stay entertained for your whole stay. Next up we are going to Greyton. Greyton is located about 20 kilometers outside the town of Piketberg. The farm is located atop the Piketberg mountain and is a nature lover's dream. There are various forms of accommodation ranging from cabins to campsites. At the campsite there's also a fully equipped outdoor kitchen. The farm also offers hiking trails and mountain biking trails, just to name a few activities. The next campsite we're visiting is Kleine Paradijs. Kleine Paradijs campsite is located about 14 kilometers outside of Piketberg and is situated on the banks of the Velddrif. The campsites all have private ablution areas and there are also 3 fenced off campsites that are pet friendly that ensures that your pet can roam free without disturbing other campers. The campsites are all covered in grass and you can really see that this campsite is well maintained and well looked after. The next town we'll be visiting is the town of Citrusdal. Our first campsite we'll be visiting in the Citrusdal area is Doorns campsite. Doorns campsite is situated about 20 kilometers outside the town of Citrusdal and is located on the banks of the Olifantsrivier. The campsites are all in a row and covered in green grass and the trees surrounding will give you some shade throughout the day, and there's also various other forms of accommodation on the farm. Our next campsite we'll be looking at is Leopard's Tree campsite. Leopard's Tree campsite is located about 20 kilometers outside the town of Citrusdal. This scenic campsite is situated on the foot of the Cederberg mountains. The campsites are covered in grass and the surrounding trees will ensure that you have a good shade covering for your stay. There are also a few hiking routes you and your dog can explore while you're there. This is a nice campsite for a weekend breakaway. The next campsite we'll look at is Blinkwater campsite. Blinkwater campsite is located about 11 kilometers outside of Citrusdal. The campsites are all on the edge of a river that runs through the camp area. All the campsites are covered in grass and the surrounding trees will provide you with a bit of shade throughout the day. The campsite truly is in immaculate condition and well looked after. Blinkwater is a real treat for you and your furry friend for a weekend getaway. And finally, we will end off with 3 more campsites, the first one being Beaverlack campsite near Porterville. Beaverlack is about 24 kilometers outside of Porterville up the Rivier mountains. This is a great campsite to come and relax and unwind and get back in touch with nature. There are various hiking routes and mountain bike trails that you can follow, and a lot of rock pools and a few waterfalls that you can go and cool off or just admire. This is a nice campsite for you and your furry friend to come and relax. Next up, we are heading to Midwest Caravan Park in the town of St. Helena Bay. Midwest Caravan Park is located on the outskirts of St. Helena Bay and right on the edge of the beach. The caravan park has a few stands where you can come and park your car, set up your tent and relax and have some peaceful time next to the west coast of South Africa. This is a great place for you and your dog to come and visit and have a nice stroll on the beach and watch the sunset. And our last campsite on the list is Piketberg Visvanger near the town of Velddrif. Piketberg Visvanger is located about 7 kilometers outside the town of Velddrif. There are a few grass-covered campsites aligned next to each other with some trees separating them. The campsites offer you a beautiful view of the Bergrivier. This is also a great spot to come and relax with your furry friend and just have a great time. Thank you very much for watching this video, and we hope this helps you to go out and explore and camp with your furry friend. As mentioned, if you want to see the full campsite review videos, you can find them on our channel or on our website, and I've left the links in the description below to each campsite review video. As always, happy camping until next time.